Today. So we're going to talk about our batteries worth it. Probably one of the big things that pops up because everybody's enthusiastic about it. They ask me, is batteries worth it? And so I thought what I'd do is I'd shoot a quick little video with you guys so that you could kind of come to your own conclusion. I'm going to take and borrow some knowledge or some wisdom from Stephen R. Covey. If you haven't figured it out, I'm a pretty avid reader. And in this book, that 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, what he talks about is taking and visualizing yourself. So you're like, I guess it's your funerals where it was, so I don't want to talk about funerals, but he says visualize you're at your funeral. He's like, what is it that you want people to say? What is it that you want them to talk to you about? What is it that you want? It's like the end game. It's really what I'm going to call it's the end game. What is the end game or the end result that you want? And then once you're at the end game, then you can back yourself up and be able to figure out what choices or what things make the most sense for you. And so it's probably easier if you spend time on it, because what we're going to talk about a bit is cost. Because as you know, batteries are not super cheap, but we've got to be able to put into perspective what cost really is. Like, for example, it took time and it cost resources to build the ark. But let me ask you a question. Would you have rather been on Noah's Ark or been there trying to swim for a while? So there's different relevance when it comes down to talking about things such as cost. So what I'm saying is, let's start with the end game. What is the end game? If you wanted a battery, let's not even worry about the battery. What's the end game? Like, here's what we know, okay? In the 1960s, as far as worldwide disasters and stuff, I might even have a chart over here. As far as worldwide disasters and stuff went, there was only 30 worldwide disasters that had happened, okay? But if you take and you fast forward to, look at this. See this chart? Good job, Michaela. So you see this chart? That's my daughter. She's helping video this with me. Look at the absolute insane acceleration of natural disasters that are occurring. 1960s, we were sitting around 30. We're averaging about 400 massive natural disasters a year. And last time I checked, so you can see things are kind of escalating in the world. There's a lot more disruption, a lot more things happening. And so now we've got to say, okay, what is the end game? So if you know events are going to unroll, if you know that we're here in Utah, we're on a big old fault line where there's a potential for an earthquake, like you don't know when these things are going to strike. But the question is what is your objective at that moment in time, sometime in the future, because batteries is all about preparedness, right? It's all about emergency preparedness. It's all about ready to be successful in the pinch. And what we're talking about right here is if you know a pinch is coming, you know some event's going to take place. And the question is what's the end game? How do you wish to weather the storm when you know the storms are going to come? It's inevitable, okay? And so then what I say is, okay, what would you give? What would you give if you're using his analogy of being in the funeral? What would you give right here, right now in preparation so that at the funeral people did the right things, said the right things about you? They got up and said, oh man, that person was awesome or whatever. Or do you want them to say, oh, what a piece of junk, man. I wish I had never met him. In fact, I wish he wasn't with my dad. Good thing my daughter doesn't say that because I guess it's my job to help make sure she doesn't. But nevertheless, you got to ask yourself, what would you give to be able to have that particular result? Here's what I noticed, okay? When there was a big old snowstorm, went across Texas, went up through 14 states. It knocked out power in all kinds of states. There were people that brought into their house barbecue grills, charcoal, you know what I mean? Charcoal barbecue grills. Put them suckers in there, lit it up, and the next thing you know, they got asphyxiated. That's dangerous. They killed them. Okay? There was people that were like freezing, and so what they did is they went and hopped out inside their car, turned it on, let it run, trying to warm up, and they actually didn't ventilate where they were at, and it actually killed them, a mom and a daughter. So that was in the news, okay? Like, they're not the only ones that experienced that. And so, like my wife's cousin, she did a post and said, look, they've got rolling blackout. She's not even in Texas. She's up in Wisconsin because it went all the way up. It hit 14 states. She's in Wisconsin. She's like, I'm cold. I'm tired. I'm frozen. I'm tired. This is bull. I want to be done. Okay? So those events are going to take and transpire. The question is not will they? It has more of a question for when. And then you say, what is the cost? See, this is where we got to start playing around. Does this make sense? What is the cost of not doing something when you could have done it in advance? And if you're like, hey, it doesn't really matter. Like when the storm hits, I'm frozen, or my kids are all frozen, or like whatever. Like if you're okay with that outcome, then the cost of the outcome is probably less than the cost of like a battery. Does that make sense? That's kind of why I'm trying to help you say, what is the end game, and like what would you pay? Because it's like it's common people are on a deathbed and they're like, oh, I sure wish I would have spent time with my family. I wish I would have. Like you can even shoot all over yourself. But I was waiting for my daughter to laugh, and now she smiled a little bit. You can shit all over yourself, but like it'd probably be better not to shit on yourself and just get ahead of the curve, okay? And so now, once we've got kind of identified what is the game, then we got to optimize for results. Like what? Now that I know how the end game is going to come out, now I've got to optimize to be successful. One of the things I like doing is fitness training, weight training. You want this end game results, and so then the question comes down to is if this is where I want to be, then what is the things that I've got to do to get there? Like waking up early might not be super exciting. Working out might not be super exciting. All these things might not be super exciting in the moment because it's creating the end game. It's probably why you went to college. You're like, look, nobody gets super excited about homework, right? But the end game is you want to graduate, have a good job, and be prosperous. So therefore, you can take the steps to it. That's kind of how I look at batteries. Like, do I want to buy batteries? No. But do I want to live with the results of not having batteries? No. Which one's more painful for me? So what I'm doing is I am adding more solar panels to my house, and I am adding a battery. Why? Because to me, like money can be replaced. Like money is not. Money can be. It's a tool. It's a tool designed to allow me to do things that I want to do. Money can be replaced. You can find money. You can do something. You can find a way to get more money. Okay, but like if I put myself in a bad predicament in the future where I lose power for whatever period of time, that cost might be too much, and I might make stupid decisions where they don't help me. Now that's kind of where I think of it. Like when I think of batteries, there's other ways you can get power. Let me kind of give you an example. You can get a generator. Well, a generator, like try to keep a week's supply or a day's supply of fuel on hand. Then when you discover you don't have fuel, then let's say you go down to the gas station, which requires electricity to pump the fuel. Therefore, you still can't get the fuel. So in the end, a generator is a very challenging solution because it doesn't necessarily work. See what I mean? And so I'm just looking for the best solution for the end game. And near as I could tell, like sun's been coming up for 1 million years. Like, let's just get real, people. Like, sun's been coming up for 1 million years. Gasoline's only been around for a couple hundred years. Or at least to the point where we understood it and we could start using it, okay? But the sun's been there for 1 million years. I can't dig a hole in my backyard and start like taking a gas can out of there. I found some refined gas. Right? It doesn't work that way. I don't know how to create that fuel. So it's not practical. And even if I buy gas cans, the fuel goes bad. I could probably put some preservatives in it, but nevertheless it goes bad and I can't hold a significant or a sufficient supply on hand. Anyway, so when I ran this out, like this is how I did it for me. I ran this, I figured it out. The cost of having this bad event take place is not worth it to me. Therefore, it's more expensive to do nothing. Therefore, I choose to do something. Anyway, that is exactly how I come about making my decisions on why battery makes good sense for me and my family so that I can move forward with it. Anyway, I will talk to you. Oh, wait a minute. You can go to AskSolarMike.com. You can learn more. You already know that I help people save money with about half of what other solar companies charge because I'm a wholesale provider. But to boot, I actually help you do even more because I help you actually earn passive income. I paid out over $37,000 back to my clients. So anyway, go to ask